Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? How are we doing? I just want to chit chat with y'all this morning about, MAT and the stereotypes around it in the sober community, okay? Um, I will never be one to tell you if you're on MAT that you are not sober. So, if you come across my page, know that you are safe here. We cast no judgment. If you're on MAT, making positive gains, meeting your goals, doing what you're supposed to do, and not abusing the substance you are on, then don't let anybody tell you. I don't care if they're a content creator with 1 million followers. I don't care who they are. Okay? At least you're not chasing no dope man gonna get something that's gonna kill you. Alright? Alright. Um, and people need to realize that even pain patients have been switched to Suboxone, Sublocade for pain management. If you do your research on any pharmaceutical medication, none of them's good. Okay? None of them. As you can see, as a side effect from me being on my MAT, I lost all my teeth. That is a side effect of the sublingual the sublingual little thing you put underneath your tongue. That is one of the side effects, is tooth decay. I was never told that was a side effect, so I'm living with that. But at the end of the day, the lights are on. I have a cell phone. I have a house. I have a car. My children are taken care of. I have animals that I take care of. At the end of the day, folks, don't ever let somebody value your worth saying, well, you're not sober because they've got their own demons to still battle. I'm sorry. I will never, ever, ever, ever tell somebody that is truly trying that they're not sober, because, honey, not sober is laying on the side. You know what I mean? We've all been there in the dope house. We've all been calling the dope man, hey man, you got anything for me today? And chasing that. So if you're not doing that, you are making positive gains and wins. And like I said, don't let anybody tell you any different. Now, however, I do want to talk about the people that are on and have been on Suboxone, Subutex, Subucade. There are some harsh side effects and things that are coming out about the medication, that it causes mouth cancer, throat cancer, oral cancer. That was never told to me through any of my providers either. So, there's ups and downs with any medication that you're on, okay? I don't care if it be a mental health med. I don't care if it's something for anxiety. We all are made up different, okay? What works for one may not work for the other. And that's another reason recovery has many different pathways, okay? I'm not here, and it's not my place to cast judgment on you. And that's my huge problem, too, is a lot of people are casting judgment on something they know nothing about. If you've never lived it, if you've never had a family member, then you're speaking out of your mouth, out of your butthole, because you don't know what you were talking about. And a lot of misconceptions are that these folks have options to get help. Well, I'm gonna be really honest with you. When I got sober 7 years ago, I was homeless, didn't have a pot to piss in, didn't have a penny to my name, and my car just blew up. But through will and determination, and we went almost a year with no car, walking to the Dollar General that took an hour both ways, and walking to work. But we done it. So that's why I'm very, that's why when somebody says, oh, you're not sober, I'm like, Okay, tell that to somebody else, not me, or not anybody that I know. For the ones that quit cold turkey or whatever, or not on any maintenance med, good for you. I'm happy for you. But you as well need to be happy for the next person. If you cannot be happy for the next person and their pathway to recovery, that shows a lot about the content of your character. Truly. Because if you were ever that bad off, you know what it is to live that life. And somebody going up and picking up a prescription and being doctor monitored is a hell of a lot better, excuse my language, than meeting the dope man at 2 o'clock in the morning at the corner of 8 and Aberley. I don't know. I mean, what would you take? What would you much rather somebody do? Now, I mean, I know you wouldn't want them going and getting some nefarious things on the corner of 8th and 8th Avenue and whoever. You wouldn't want that at all. You would want them to go to the pharmacy and get a prescription, right? Right. Just because Adderall is one molecule off of street meth doesn't mean that if you don't have your Adderall today that you can go buy methamphetamine off the street either. Okay, folks? I keep it real on my page, and folks, you'll never really see me. Yes, there's pictures on my page where, I do doll up and whatever, but this is me. I'm country, always been country. I love God, I love people, and I love sharing what my story is. And, if there's a will, there's a way. And I would love to see more options for folks that are getting locked up. Because we have this mentality, get these drug dealers and these druggies off the street, but there's really not enough programs in place that work with jails and work with probation to get these folks in the right direction. And you're saying, Courtney, what do you mean? There's stuff everywhere. Not unless you got insurance. And a lot of people don't qualify for Medicaid. They don't qualify for a lot of assistance. So unless they can get a grant or somebody to speak for them to get a bed and a sober living, it's really hard to get in. Okay? And there's a lot of red tape. A lot of red tape for folks. And these bonds are extremely high. And I get it. Nobody's going to get sober until they want to get sober. Not until you hit rock bottom are you going to get sober. Trust me. I got a cousin that we've begged and begged and begged to get sober. Okay? Trust me. I know if you don't want to get sober, you're not going to get sober. But the avenues need to be there, and they're not there. Okay? We have... And I want you to look at your phone right now. And I want you to pull up pedophiles in your area. There's a locator for that. And you would be amazed at the amount of pedophiles that are loose, that have targeted children, that are free. But yet we have these people, and I get it, fentanyl's deadly, but harming a child, in my opinion, is worse. But yet they walk free. No rehabilitation. We can't talk to them any type of way. And blah, 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 blah. Let's protect the pedo. But yet, nobody's wanting to speak. I mean, folks, do you realize in the state of North Carolina, you pay $25,000 to $30,000 per inmate per year? If I'm going to be taxed to pay that much for inmate, I don't want them sitting on their ass 23-1. I don't. I want them up. I want them up working, paying for their stay, plus putting money up for when they get out. Treatment programs. The United States is we are the largest country with incarceration. Why do you think that is? The money that is made off of tickets, incarceration, is phenomenal. Because you have to understand, when somebody gets arrested, not only do they get arrested, they usually get a bond. So that bond money makes money for the bonding company. Then that magistrate's there. Then the jail official. Then if that person doesn't qualify, they get an attorney. So that generates revenue for an attorney. And then there's court costs. And then there's this. And then there's, well, we got to do this. And a lot of these things revolve around money. And I don't know about a lot of y'all, but folks that are struggling don't have $300 to get into a program. And Suboxone and getting into a weekly or a monthly type of program without insurance is hard and expensive. The one clinic that when I first started was $150 for the first visit. No, it was $200 for the first visit. That didn't include your medication for the week, and that was only 1 week. So the medication usually costs $3 a dose, so you can add that up. But that was 1 week. So you're looking at roughly almost $300 just for 1 week of medication. And you also have to pee in a cup every week. I did that for 2 years. I never was able really to go monthly because they loved the money that they made off of making people come in weekly or bi-weekly. They make a ton of money off of it. And that's where I also have a problem in the recovery world, is it's all about the money. It's not about the patient or the person bettering themselves. Like the clinic that I went to, like my conversation with them on multiple times, well, I get it that, accountability and whatnot, but what if people have a job? Getting off every week for an hour and a half to go to a doctor's appointment, you're not going to be able to keep a job like that. And mind you, this place didn't work after hours and wasn't open on weekends. So it had to be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So anybody new working in recovery that wanted a job, they had to look at their place of employment and be like, well, I got a doctor's appointment every week for my medication. And they frankly don't care. If you didn't come in for that doctor's appointment and pee in that cup, you weren't getting your medicine. If you didn't complete your counseling call for the month, you didn't get your medication. They did not care. And to me, at the end of the day, I would never look at anybody on a mental health med and tell them, oh, stop taking your med, it's mind altering. And that's the biggest fight we have out of all these folks is, it's still mind altering, the Suboxone, Sublocade. Well, a lot of things are. Caffeine is mood altering. Nicotine is mood and mind altering. And folks, what you don't realize is caffeine is one of the hardest things to quit. So, unless you're living that perfect life, quit casting judgment on everybody. There's so much hate in the world. Why add to it? Why? Ask yourself why. When it's 100 times better to look at people and say, I hope you have an amazing day, go knock it out of the ballpark today. Don't criticize them for trying to better themselves. Do you know how that makes you look? And you never know. That one time of you saying, oh, you're not sober on your maintenance med, and that person goes and relapses and they die because they did the same dose they did before they got clean. Think about that, folks. Think about it. Your words have consequences. Whether you want to believe that or not, words and actions have consequences. And when people are in recovery and are on the recovery path, you chastising other recovery members just because their pathway is not yours, you need to sit down and take an interim look at your inner heart and be like, why am I even doing this? Because, at the end of the day, we're here to love one another and encourage one another in the recovery world. And if you can't do that, sit down and shut up. Seriously. If you cannot motivate others that are in recovery that don't match your pathway, if you can't root others on and clap for them and be there for them, then just sit down and shut your mouth. Because we've lost too many. We've lost too many people to overdoses, to relapses, to enough of the nonsense. The last thing we need are content creators going after people on MAT. And I'll be honest with you, they'll have to answer for that one day. And there is a huge content creator on here that once told me that I wasn't sober, that I was still a sloppy drug addict, and I didn't know my butt from the hole in the ground because I was on MAT. And he's a proclaimed Christian, getting on here every day saying about the Bible this and the Bible that and the Bible this and the Bible that. Well, the Bible says not to judge, sir. You might want to take an inner look at yourself before you start. Sweep your own front porch before you sweep mine. But anyway, guys and gals, if there's a subject that y'all would like me to talk upon, or if you need any help, and if you need somebody to chit chat with, my inbox is always open. Ray of Hope on Facebook. You can message me. I'll do my best to get back at you. If somebody you know needs help getting resources or getting a bed or whatever, reach out as well. I will do everything in my power to help you. And again, my name is Courtney with Ray of Hope. I love y'all guys so big, so much. Hit that like, share, and comment, and we'll see you later. Peace out.